Hello, and welcome to Guys Dealings with Feelings, a podcast focused on men's health and emotional awareness. Jason, a licensed therapist with over 18 years of experience, and I, being profoundly affected by the death of my son, share grounded conversations and practical insights to help men navigate modern life with clarity and intention. If this podcast hits home for you, please like, share, and subscribe. Your interactions help us reach more men who could benefit by hearing this material. You can find us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Instagram, and TikTok under Guys Dealings with Feelings. What's going on, Jay?
Hey, man. Good morning.
So we got some personal stuff that happened today. I want to tackle gratitude. It's a huge one that we um it's a huge part of growth, and I think really finding a stride where you're happy and uh feeling good even in tumultuous times. And it's underrated. I know it's a buzzword thing a lot of times, but really, it's uh, it's actually one of the most powerful mental and emotional tools we can develop. It's not fake positivity or pretending life is perfect. And it's definitely not trying to ignore pain or trauma. We're talking about training the mind to recognize what is working in life, even when things feel heavy, right? Especially when things feel heavy. Most of us men are trained to focus on problems, responsibility, and what still needs fixing. Rarely are we trained to notice what's already good. And I'm sure I heard about gratitude before 5 years ago or 6 years ago, I guess now. But I didn't practice it. And I even thought it was some of those things, just trying to fake it till you make it, fake positivity, um, uh, not really appreciating even the smallest things, and what a shift that makes in perspective, which is another huge piece. But how it changes things, and I'm still growing in the practice. But I was so grateful to a stranger who had helped me with this power outage stuff, dealing with the ice storm, and I'm grateful for the people that helped me at the store. I mean, I try to be grateful for everything that's occurring around me, people who help me when I'm displaced, and so I didn't realize how powerful it was. It changes where we focus and put our time, and I think that kind of kicking things off, we as men have a problem scanning mode. We live in a constant problem detection mode where evolution has wired us to protect, provide, fix, anticipate threats. But modern life keeps the brain scanning finances, work pressure, relationships, responsibilities. And the brain is a problem solving machine, not necessarily a happy machine. We definitely cover that. And gratitude is going to interrupt this survival loop. So we'll have Jason get into it a little more. How I know we're trying to make sure that we're um, not just in the amygdala where we're reacting and fight or flighting or freezing, where we're actually having a response. And so tell us, how is it that just simply, is it just the change in focus? I was, for sure, forever, I think I was, like I think many people were in that everything was always bad. Like even when things were good, well, the next thing around the corner is going to be bad. Uh, and when things are bad, things are just going to keep getting worse. And then it gets like a big cherry on top when Joel dies, and I got to say, "See, I told you." And and it's just an inappropriate. I don't want to say it's a. I mean, you may have some history on it. I don't know where that mindset comes from necessarily, as much as I know that changing it changes so many things. And can you explain some of that to us? What's going on there?
Which part?
As far as the shift, so when we shift our
Oh, yeah.
focus, how shifting that focus, even so, you, and I didn't, the day Joel died, I was not saying these words,
Yeah, yeah.
but uh, being appreciative for all that I've been able to learn in this journey post him dying, and as a direct result of him dying, I mean, I was in such a miserable place, and it just um, it was just a miserable place, best way to put it. So to get from there to where I am now, it I can look back and say I'm very grateful for all the things that I had to go through to get to where I am today, and how that changes so much in my life. Like how is it that just showing that appreciation, like what does it do that shifts us? Is there a brain like a is does it help get us out of the amygdala where we're more into
Yeah,
focusing on the right thing or what's
yeah. Oh, well, let's keep sort of working to define it. So, w- are we talking about like an attitude? Like, how would you define gratitude at the level of feeling?
I was going to say that I would define it as being thankful for the good things, no matter how small, that are present in my circumstances. As a feeling, what occurs, and I've heard that
You get the question,
you
right?
can't have gratitude and anxiety at the same time, and so that was really alluring to me. Why I'll do anything to take care of that mess. So, being grateful in light of circumstances, in light of all the bad shit that's going on, because again, we're not trying to ignore these things. We just shifting that focus is so powerful. And I was just curious, and I know I'm putting it on the spot, but I was curious as to is there some type of shifting that we are forcing to occur, or is it just simply turning our focus from a negative focus to a positive focus? And and even then, what does that do for us? Because that again has a powerful shift. I mean,
Yeah,
the glass being half empty can fucking ruin your existence in this journey, and it can make it a shitty one. And thinking glass half full can really change it, and it's that simple. I'm sure in the distant past we've put some time into perspective, but that focus to positivity and gratitude, I think, forces us into that focus on positivity. Is so powerful in my recovery and how I've been able to shift from an unpleasant existence into a very happy and pleasant existence. Not everything's happy all the time. I'm
yeah,
not even in my own house right now. Like things suck in this exact moment, but I'm so grateful again for the people who helped me. And these poor guys out here working 16 hours a day. Yeah, it's shitty management. It's a corporation, right? What's going to make the best number at the end of the day for whoever's getting paid? And so for me to get mad at our local power company NES for that is just piling on to all the other shit I'm mad about that these people don't care about. So I think that I'm grateful for these line guys who are sacrificing their lives and their time with their families, and um, they're getting our power back on. I think we take power for granted. I think that we just
we
assume we
we
should
do,
have it.
don't
I pay my
we? Yeah,
bill, so I should have it, and then we have zero idea what's going on really to get that shit to our doorstep. And we still, even through all this, I'm still not 100% sure what all is happening to get it from TVA to me. Um, but I am appreciative of the electricity. And I think this experience is not, I didn't turn towards NES with my aggression. I tried to focus more on, golly, I sure do appreciate power. I appreciate electricity. And those two things. So, in this exact, using that as an example, one of them is going to kick me off into an angry, upset, uh, want to get back at whatever, whatever, whatever. And explain any negative emotions you want here because I'm mad at NES. They're my problem. I wouldn't have these problems if it wasn't for NES. Well, we hadn't been without power this long, maybe ever. And you weren't appreciating them every day before this. And they had kept us lights on for quite some time for a lot of us.
yeah,
And we weren't sitting around thinking how. So I think, so this, if I take this path, I'm pissed off at NES. I'm ranting and raving about it on social media. Things need to be fixed, and this, that, and the other. And that's going to,
which happened, right?
sure, it's on the national
People were
news that it's
frustrated.
happening. People, and they should be frustrated. I'm not saying when you're in your house it's fucking freezing, you should be
You're
frustrated.
not, you
It
might
it
not feel,
happens.
yeah,
I'm tired. I'm frustrated. I don't have my normal amount of patience, which isn't a huge amount in the first place, but it even loses some when I get tired, and it's just how it goes. So I could choose to be pissed off at NES and these incompetent bastards, and how could they let this happen? And they found that they cut back on their foliage extraction budget, which clearly was the problem in this catastrophe. Or I could focus on how appreciative I am for these guys working 12 to 16 hours a day, all these guys from out of town, gals too. I'm not trying to genderize this. And they're again, they're every day they work on this just wild shit. Like most of us, A, wouldn't have the internal fortitude to do such, me included, and B, if we tried, we'd be high likelihood we could die doing it. And they risk these things so that we can have a hot shower and all these things we're bitching about not having when their bosses cut back on a budget. And I think both can be true. You can be pissed off at the bosses and happy with the linemen, but if I'm going to focus on one thing that's going to affect how I feel in the hours that we're talking about, I can have a shitty pissed off attitude, or I can have it's okay. I'm getting to spend more time with my family. We're in way more close quarters.
Yeah.
I've got, I'm staying with some family and, getting to spend more time with them. Of course, that comes with its own hurdles too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it's life, and life is just doing its thing. And I think that that is such a shift. And there's no doubt what I would have done in yesteryear. I would have been mad at NES and how could this, and pissed off and jumping on this bandwagons. But now I see that as it's not.
I think one of the ways to talk about the role I play is to get out a magnifying glass, right? And so it's not sufficient enough to me to just even use the word gratitude. What starts to happen for me is okay. Let's get out a magnifying glass. Like what are we talking about? Like what exactly are we talking about?
Hmm.
So I like to look it up and see how I guess we as a collective define it, right?
Hmm.
Uh, Gratitude is a fundamental state of being great. Well, that doesn't like actually give me that much information.
Shine
So,
any light?
a feeling or quality of thankfulness and appreciation. I don't. That doesn't actually tell me a lot either, really. The thankfulness. Oh, this is a warm feeling of appreciation for something good that has happened. Warm feel. Okay, let's get a little closer, maybe, right? Often directed towards a person, circumstance, or even life itself for gifts, kindness, or benefits received. Keep going. What were you going to say?
I wonder if so. I'm reflecting. You said share that in an emotion. I think that gratitude is sharing my love in a way and through appreciation of a circumstance.
Okay,
So it's a way for me to express love,
I got it.
even if we want to break love down into
I
kind
get
of
what you're
many
saying. I get what you're
categories. But you
saying.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but see, but I'll still move us back to the origin. So that behavior, whether it be your language or whatever it is coming from an environment. You're the environment. And so, in order for it to come out that way, the environment has to uh, see things a certain way, right? Um, I want to keep on going. Okay, gratitude involves two key steps: recognizing that one has received a positive outcome or benefit, acknowledging that the source of this goodness comes from outside oneself is another thing it says, another person, nature, fate, or a higher power, and that it was not necessarily earned, deserved, or expected. It's often described as a cognitive, affective state combining recognition of goodness with positive emotion, happiness, wonder, warmth. Um, a deeper or philosophical view, gratitude is an affirmation of goodness in the world and a recognition that many valuable things in life, big or small, are freely given or come as gifts. It goes beyond mere politeness to become a broader attitude of appreciation, humility, and awareness that we depend on others and external sources for much of what enriches our life. In short, gratitude is more than just saying thank you. It's an emotional and mental orientation that notices and values the positive, often leading to greater well being, stronger relationships, and less self centered perspective. It doesn't really contain a me, it's more of a we and a you, right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, the way I see it is how I am interacting with the circumstances I'm dealing with. Whether th-
Right, the
mo-
feelings,
Well, the feelings that are created by the circumstances that are present in my
by
life.
the interpretation of what's happening,
Mhm.
right?
Correct.
Right. Um,
And I don't know, some of that what you read, I think it can definitely be within ourselves. Definitely grateful for my health, and, that's definitely something I have
I got it.
control over.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Let me, yeah, just speak to it from my perspective, right?
mhm.
From my experience of it. At the deepest level, it's a version of relaxing at the deepest level. So since the vast majority of our experience is one of, let's see if I can tie this together, is one of dislocation and dismemberment. I think many of us feel a sense of dislocation, and on the most profound level, dislocated from the universe and nature and each other, right? Um, and that sense of dislocation, dismemberment, right, is a result of the pressures of this life, pressures on this planet,
The environment we've
and the way it affects the body. So, gratitude is actually a product of a healing neurophysiology that can be present in its life and doesn't walk around making demands on the universe as to what it needs to be okay. So, the expression of gratitude, you could say, ultimately is the emergence of presence, just being in your life, accepting it what it is, knowing that what life is an ebb and flow of shifting sand and changes and complications and uh, things coming our way, things leaving our way, right? So ultimately, I think your question is how do we stay in that space as really difficult things are happening, right?
Yeah, I think it's, what I'm expressing is that we need in order to get the boat turning in the right direction, we have to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, um, the way that the the pressures of living and the traumas we experience and the heaviness of this earth, the way that it affects the body is it does create this like a sense of lack. And so visually, we have tendencies to notice what we don't have, what's wrong in the environment, right? But what we don't really know is that's related to the body and fear and a sense of lack, right?
Would the acknowledgement of these things not help ease some of the sense of lack? Which is our fear that we need to keep gathering so we
Yeah,
make sure we
well, you're
eat and
more acknowledging the truth, you know?
yeah, would that put us on track for that? Like, actually acknowledging I'm not as
You know, yeah, you can imagine. I mean, the truth is the direction we're working to head, you know, right? But there are some well, let me give you an example. Okay, so I go into a space where gratitude is a consistent word, right? And people often do things like practice making gratitude lists, okay? And so this is sort of kind of logical, right? Like the individual wakes up and they try to identify the blessings in their life, you could say, right? You know? And a lot of times what happens in the space that I go into like that, people express a frustration around not being able to feel gratitude, right? Um, but it's because it's just semantics, right? Again, I'm saying the deepest sense of gratitude is a feeling of relaxation, that it's okay, that even brutally hard things are okay. Everything has its place, right? And so it's really interesting. So because a lot of times if somebody comes to me and says, I want to experience more gratitude, I'm making these gratitude lists, one of the first things I'll say to them is, let's just stop doing that. You're for one, you're trying to evoke a feeling, whether you recognize it or not. You see what I mean by that? You're trying to evoke a feeling. But again, what kind of feeling? Like, what are we trying to evoke, you know? And I like to simplify it, just the notion that's okay. It's okay, you know? We don't have to figure it all out, plan it. Like, it's okay, right? Uh, it makes sense. Give it time. It makes sense. You can't see it now. It makes sense. Give it time, right? Um, so instead, what I'll encourage people to do is start doing nervous system work because what they're actually looking to experience will happen as the nervous system heals. So they'll be able to be more appreciative in their life and take things as it comes and respond more with wisdom.
So that's interesting. I think that I've gotten to the point where I've gotten as a result of the work that's been done. Um, but it's definitely something that I'm proactive about. Uh, Even if it's not making a list, it's having the discipline to stop and do it. And I think the importance behind it can also go into the, what where our focus goes, the energy flows. And if we're focusing on the things that we are appreciative of and the needs that are being met, while we understand there's still a big ball of shit over here we got to deal with, whatever that may be, if it's big, small, whatever it is, big to you, that's all that matters. And so if and I understand what you're saying. I'm just curious as to, is there any notion that if I'm practicing, just like you're saying with the meditation, it, intertwining it with the practice of meditation, but you're just saying it's just going to come with that. And I push back on that as it doesn't come. I'm selfish. I think that naturally, based on my nurturing, have landed in a place where um, if somebody hands me something, if I hadn't done a bunch of work to make sure that I know how it feels to hand somebody something and not hear thank you, I want to make sure when you hand me something, I say thank you. And that's different, I think, than what exactly we're talking about here today, but it's in the same vein. It's a forced thing. It's not something that I think I would do. And then again, if that's my raising, I didn't get raised right. And my grandmother was definitely, I'm definitely a yes, sir, no, ma'am kind of
Yeah,
guy.
yeah, yeah.
I try to show respect, but I think that that's definitely surface level. It's to say that I respect you as a human being, and I'm going to show respect in this conversation we're having at the grocery store with a stranger. I think gratitude is more of when I get home, I'm appreciative that I had an interaction with a kind human being. I'm appreciative that I'm capable of going to the store and that there's a store right there that I can go to that has everything I could possibly need and probably more. Um, I
Can you see how as you describe that, it actually is reflecting of, like, being settled?
I do, but I don't know that if I was just settled that I
That
would
it would
do
occur
that.
to you that
Correct.
way. I got you,
Right.
I got
And the action of doing it, the active work it takes to stop and do it, I find important because it slows me down and allows me to, because as you said, the focus on the negative is going to happen. Like the bad shit's going to happen. These
you. Yeah.
bills are coming up. The
Yeah,
sales
yeah,
aren't
yeah, yeah,
happening. The
yeah, yeah,
this, the
yeah.
that, the
Yeah.
others, they're going to be there. And I think my counterpunch to that is gratitude and slowing down to express that gratitude. And I was kind of coming at you with more of a psychologically is, and I understand why you answer the way you do. And I don't, I'm not, I don't,
Yeah.
I think you're saying I'm expressing, I'm able to express these things because of the work that's already occurred in my life. And I think that, and it could be my thought process is tainted because it's definitely through my lens. And my lens is, until I
I
really
got
started
it.
focusing
I
on
got it.
all the
I got it. I
positive.
got it. So I can let me it starts with a fundamental form of gaslighting that we experience here on this planet.
Okay.
And the one of the greatest forms of gaslighting that we experience, and it showed up in in one of the comments on
One of our socials.
one of our socials, right? And it was the idea of natural selfishness, right? That's inherent in what it means to be human. Okay. or what it means to be who we are, right? And that is just fundamentally false as to what we are at our depth. That's just not real. What advocates for selfishness is the environment that we come into.
The environment drives that.
Yes, the
And I
environment tells us we're selfish. The environment tells us it's a dog eat dog world that's competitive and right now, and also people can like in the post on the social, the person referred to like an expression of selfishness in toddlers, right? Right? Like somehow that's like a natural thing, you know, inherent, right? And the one thing that I might ask that person is, um, what experiences are you basing that conclusion off of? And I would ask them, have you visited any, say, African nations? Have you visited any places that are village oriented? Community oriented? Have you been around children that weren't raised in our environment?
yeah, I think it's that was all of these things are evolutionary responses, and I think that the where that thought process comes from that we're inherently violent or selfish is that that's that, like you said, was what the environment created. We were in an environment where violence and selfishness was rewarded, which means that's what we're going to do. And if in your African tribal example, if it's rewarded to be giving and kind and all those things, then that's what you're going to do. It's to get the things we need. It's the fear driving, a fear that I'm not going to have the things I need. How can I get the things I need? Violence can be one, selfishness can be one, kindness can be one, giving can be one. They can. It's finding that. So depending on where you are environmentally wise, I think Earth has been a very violent place for a very long time.
Very long
The
time. Very
dinosaurs
long
would
time.
definitely agree with it.
Very long time.
Whatever happened,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so I think that we're part of that, and we definitely won't shy from the violence. But I think the environment's driving it. It's
I love the fact that you referred to evolution, right? So let's just say, right, like if you look at what these bodies represent that we walk, they actually represent the entire history of the universe. It is contained all right here. Okay, like you take our brain for instance, um, it will be referred to as a triune brain, right? And you have the brain stem, or what will be referred to as like the lizard brain, the lizard brain. You know what I mean?
mhm.
Well, that's the oldest part of the brain. Then you have the limbic system, which came online, right? And then
Which
you have the
part? What is the
prefrontal.
limbic drive?
The limbic is, you could say, representative of evolution's emergence into animal life and emotion, feeling.
It introduced emotion.
That's the limbic system, yeah. Right. So then you would move from more reptilian, uh, you could say maybe antisocial, but you know what I mean, right?
Hmm.
Does that make sense? That's a little dramatic, but you see what I mean by that. Um, so into the world of social organization, and that requires emotion, right? It requires chemicals like oxytocin and serotonin, and right. So the cells in the body had to go through a mutation, right? Right. So what goes through the mutation is DNA, right? So what DNA is expressing, what genes are being turned on and off. So you just if you just look at the brain, you see the history of the world, history of the universe, from single-celled organism to multicellular organism. Right? Does that make sense? What I'm saying? It's all contained in the body. But who are we? Like, what is this human species that contains the whole history of the universe in its body and has the capacity for self-reflection? And it has the capacity for the question, who am I? That's unique to us. That's us. It's really that question. But what it feels like to us, the majority of us, is that we are a single-celled organism cut off from the environment. And so when it appears to us, because that's just in appearance, but it feels that way. when it appears to us like we're a single-celled organism, it would also appear to us that we need things outside of us to be okay, you know? And it would be less familiar with us that our natural state of being is of that of fulfillment, appreciation. It's just like naturally when we're able to be relaxed and just in the flow of the day and what's happening. See what I mean? That's like the most profound expression of gratitude is flow, in the flow. Because the character's not making any demands on life. It's not saying it needs to be this way, I want it to be this way, it has to be this way. You see what I mean?
Mhm.
It's appreciative of what is happening,
Yeah.
right? And that's only available as the nervous system heals and the body heals and we're able to be in the body and be more present, right? So, uh, we're made to transcend animal. So the selfishness is of our ancestral nature that acts as a shadow over the entire human sphere, that we're not selfish. The biological imperative here is cooperation, not competition. If you really see what I mean, think about this. You take a single-celled organism, okay? And if its imperative was actually competition, well, then you can imagine its cellular membrane as being totally closed off from the environment. Why would it let things in? You see what I mean by that? But that's not what happened. The single celled organism evolved into multicellular life. So then that would suggest that the single celled organism had to be receptive to its environment. It had to let things in. You see what I mean by that? So in reality, the biological imperative is cooperation. But see, the majority of us, without our knowing it, really relate to ourselves at the level of animal. I know that sounds kind of weird, uh, you know, but the fact that we build rockets and fly to the moon does not make us special. All animals want to expand their territory. What makes us special is self the self-reflective capacity, right? The who am
Mhm.
I? Uh, so I'm not to say, man, people, we do all kinds of things that are helpful, and 100% people would tell you it's very helpful for me to make gratitude lists. It like you said, it slows me down. It focuses me, or it's an attempt to help me practice having enough. You
Mhm.
see, whether we see it or not, we're actually combating this sense of
Right. Yeah,
lack
that's what
of
I was saying earlier.
agency,
Yeah.
lack of enough, lack of enough, lack of
Yeah,
enough.
trying to say, "Hey, we don't no need to be afraid."
You got it. So that occurs through the healing of our neurophysiology, the ability to identify fear and to come back to peace, the ability to identify the sense of lack. And the thing is what we're actually lacking is presence. It's not, we're not lacking anything needs to come in out here. Don't get me wrong. There are times in our life where, so let's just say money's tight. You know what I mean? But I'm speaking to a more fundamental. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think that the experiences I have when I mean, even with the power kind of example I was given, like I can't express
Yeah.
how I can express it. Here's how I would express it. As miserable as I used to be and unhappy and pissed off, I'm that way but happy. I'm that extreme but happy.
I got you.
In all the
Yeah.
things
You
and
got it.
whatever identity episode we did where you defined what really was happening, all that shit.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah.
those things under there, and I think that it is a way to feel that way, and I'm getting to a point now where I'm just constantly trying to be grateful, and it's not forced. Like when somebody
Yep, yep,
says,
yep, yep,
"Oh
yep,
shit,
yep,
it's been
yep.
12 days, no power." Yeah, but I'm so grateful. I mean, I've gotten to spend time with my family, and it's been a
Yeah, but
little
what you're
adventure.
describing is a capacity to not be afraid. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, no, I see it, and I guess it's my
Let
way. It helps me too.
Yeah.
In expressing it, it's almost like it gives me a jolt.
Well, it just naturally comes out. When your cup
Yeah,
runneth over, it naturally comes out. Do you see what I mean by that? Um, and our experience before recovery could be called an empty vessel.
nothing to spill out because of what
Nothing
it
to
is.
spill out. It's just like a black hole trying to suck in everything that it can from the environment to fill that gaping hole, right? And then what happens is it gets bad enough, you sit down and you turn your gaze in there at the fucking hole. And it's that gaze that starts filling it back up.
Yeah, I've never broken it down to see it that way because again, it was I trying to be grateful wasn't an initial part of the recovery, but it definitely came in early. And I'm not saying I sat down and made lists. That definitely was suggested, but I made a point to begin to identify again as a way to combat the anxiety and a way to combat the bullshit noise. You don't have enough of this. You don't have enough. You need more of that.
You know what I would how I would describe what you're talking about is intentionality. And when we've healed, when there's been healing to a point that then it creates the opportunity for intentionality, right? Um, I had this experience one time. I was riding down the road and I got news, like something good had happened, And I shed the most intense tears that I have ever shed in my life at that point in time, or that I could recall. But like happy tears, just wow, And I couldn't have said it at the time because I actually called it gratitude too, and that's fine. I'm not worried about semantics. But what was more subtle was the feeling of release. And so the way I understand that moment now, that's related to stored, unprocessed material that continues to affect our life in ways we don't understand. And it was releasing some of that old
Energy, right?
stored material. Yeah. Yeah.
It was the
And
bird shaking.
yep. And from that moment, there was even a greater sense of lightness in the body, like actually in the body. Right. And so I didn't even understand it at that point that that was a deep moment of release of the tension that had been being held in my system.
Yeah, I've had some things. I can't put my finger on one right now, just on the cold like this, but I've definitely had things, and the feelings that I have are so positive, and uh, even when I start to have shitty feelings, if I can say, "Well, hang on, what's good about this?" And look at that, it just changes the way I feel, and then that's the way I express, and then that's what goes out into the world, and so karmically, that's what's gonna come back
And
too.
none of that's possible without having an awareness around the discomfort, which is not automatic, right? Right. The only reason that you begin that practice of reframing is because of a feeling.
But yeah, it's complete fucking misery, that's what I was
Yeah.
referencing earlier.
Agitation
Yeah.
or
It
generally, I think unpleasantness is just a simple way of saying it.
yeah, well, it's so we say this so many times, it's so obvious where I'm coming from. And I should have done all of this work before I even had Joel. And and I'm not saying I regret not doing it. I just didn't. I was like everybody else. I didn't know I needed to do it. And so I can definitely empathize, associate with one who's this is foreign language to them. I can definitely empathize with that stance. But I think I have a hard time expressing is the way that I feel now and how one can feel like I feel now in light of the circumstances that I've faced. And this is part of it. And I think it's such a big part of it. And I don't know the ins and outs of why it's such a big part of it. And that's kind of what I was hoping through this episode to get at least a piece of the rock chipped off.
Yeah. And
Uh,
and I'll say, the way that I talk about the why is as the body heals, it's more natural for us to be appreciative of the blessings that are available. It's just a natural thing that happens.
well, yeah, and I mean, I think again, something that Joel's death has shown a light for me is that even in that, I can see how appreciative I am because of how much I've learned and how much a better human being I am. I mean, just every day when I'm walking around, I'm just a pretty happy guy. Like all the interactions I have a lot of positive. I definitely have negative interactions in my life. I'm not suggesting I don't, and a lot of it's my fault. I'm not. Res- I'm just reacting. I'm not
Yeah.
stopping to think.
Yeah,
What do
yeah,
we? Because anytime I stop and say, "What are we doing?"
yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. Just
Yeah.
shut the fuck
Why are
up.
we
What
yeah,
are we
what are
doing?
we
Why are we
actually talking about now?
wasting
Yeah,
energy on this dumb stuff? So, I feel like this is something that's been so big for me. Just the positive outlook in general, trying to see
oh, yeah.
positives.
Yeah, I had a thought. So, let's say this. Let's say gratitude is the ability to pay attention to the details, and so that means, our habits of distracting and the tendencies of the past and future and to be everywhere but here. That's the culprit. That's the culprit. So I like that. Gratitude is the ability to be here in the details, no matter
Hmm.
what.
Yeah, and part of the healing, to your point, you just gotta you do look at a lot of the details and the feelings, and that's the emotional recognition piece where I can recognize what's happening, what is my body reacting, why, what and why is my body reacting the way it is, um, and and in this part, I just again, and I think that it comes with so much positive to it, and it's not the gratitude really that's doing that. To your point, it's the inner peace that I'm experiencing versus the
It's
turmoil
shining
or
from
whole.
you,
Or, yes, it's
right? See, it's not even contingent on anything out there. It's not even contingent on what you get, what you receive, and right? You see what I mean? It's an inner shining. It's an inner glow that we're actually talking about.
yeah, and I guess that's probably hard for me to really recognize in myself because I
It
don't.
generally is for us.
Anybody that really knows me would say inner glow.
Nah,
This motherfucker, I know inner glow, but yeah. So
it is.
I'm
It is.
yeah. I think that.
The environment that which you're looking out into the world is more clear now.
Mhm.
And through your eyes, because of that clarity, you just see more innocence, you know?
Well, and I another thing it does is focus on what really fucking matters, man. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the
but
big
you gotta
deal.
be able to focus, right?
You got to be able to focus, and you got to know what matters.
That
This
and again, that's in the details.
again, it's in the details, and but this is steps,
Yep.
and it's part of it. And if you hear this and think, well, I'd like to know more about those steps, just really go back and listen to all to the episodes that Jason and I are putting out. We're trying to really jump on these topics to give you an idea. It's not a program. It's an explanation of experiences we've both had and knowledge we've both gained. And I think that if you can listen to that in totality, you can help put it together. And moving forward, we can put some groups together that could help with some direction on this. But it is so many steps. But if you're listening, and depending wherever you are in your journey, know that I didn't when I started, I had no idea. I didn't even have this as a target. I just knew I didn't like the way I felt, and I didn't want to feel that way anymore. And I don't think that I know that you don't need to lose a kid to come to that conclusion, or you don't have to go on a a, a drug bender or uh, totally wreck your life in whatever way you can define here. You don't have to do that to come to the realization that this is a short journey we've got. We want to lay down for the last time with as little regret as possible. And depending on when you start figuring this journey out, you could have some there. I know I do as a father. I've got some regrets, and wish I would have spent more time enjoying instead of stressing. And I just, that sucks because you can't get it back. And time is going to keep on rolling as far as life and all that. So gratitude is not going to remove the responsibility or struggle, but it's going to change how we experience our lives. And I think that's the big part right there. Happiness is found when we recognize the good alongside the hard. So keep that in mind. I know trust me, I know, pain and suffering and misery and all those things and, how and how
Yeah,
that
yeah.
feels, but you can get to this point. It's definitely doable. So with that in mind, as always, we really appreciate you giving us your time. It's your most valuable asset. Until next time, stay in the fight. The world's a much better place with you in it.